Hello and welcome back to another unboxing video, this time for the Tabletop RPG Standard Rulebook Edition Deluxe Edition. So this is something that I pre-ordered last year and it's finally come, and essentially this is what it looks like. It comes in this big flashy box with all that gold on it, and then on the back it shows you what the contents is. There's quite a lot of stuff in here. I'll leave the price on screen for you here in the various different regions from the Square Enix store, but let's do a quick dirty unboxing then of what you get. Firstly, the inside of a box is absolutely gorgeous. I love this A Realm Reborn artwork on the top there. That's probably enough reason for me to want the box alone. I really like seeing the art style of all of A Realm Reborn repurposed. And there's the actual standard rulebook. I've been waiting for the standard rulebook for a long time because, quite honestly, their first edition of the rules didn't really feel very D&D. There were a lot of room for improvement, and I hope that they've addressed some of that, and I think I know that they've addressed some of that. Like leveling in particular was certainly something that was quite interesting and quite annoying to figure out how to sort out points and scaling with various things throughout the campaign. If you've played the tabletop RPG, you'll know what I'm on about, but it looks like they've gone into much bigger detail, and it's worth it just getting the book alone. In fact, you can get the standard edition, which just comes with the book, if I remember correctly, and that might be worth getting on its own. I decided to go for the deluxe edition because I was interested in all of the other little bits as well that you got extra. And of course there are new scenarios as well, so if you're interested in catching up with new scenarios, new boss battles, things like that, there is some really cool stuff to get stuck into. At the back there's actually some sort of presets for landscapes, so I guess you would have to scan this book in and print those off or cut them out, although that sounds terrible. It also gives you a bit of a bestiary, a good idea, like a glossary of what to expect, all of the different types of monsters and things, what everything does. So that needs a much more in-depth read through, but from just browsing at it right now, it looks pretty good. It's like what I wanted. Underneath the first layer then, unfortunately this is where I got a little bit shafted by my either delivery service or whatever. You gotta be kidding me. Why didn't they bloody screw the screws in? Oh, for goodness sake. Oh, now I've got to go and find a screwdriver. Yeah, past me was not impressed. So essentially, the scratches that were all over this, thankfully there was like a thin layer of sort of like this acrylic scratch-proof like resistant sticker that I had to take off, and I also got a screwdriver and screwed in these screws. Ignore the fact that this is dusty as heck now. It attracts every sort of imagination of dust. You can just sort of breathe near it and it will have an imprint. But it's basically a card tray. You put your card in there and you can attribute points. It isn't a digital interface or anything like that. You're supposed to put counters on there and things like that. It comes with its own pen, and there's also some acrylic sheets as well where you can keep track of all of your points. Well, these are the tokens we've got on and off here. So for different abilities and ailments, things like that. I really do think that this needs to be packaged a little bit better, and is not really much of an excuse for the screws to come undone. I really don't like that. What I would have done is I would have put the screws for the card tray separately in a baggie and then let you assemble it yourself, and that would have hopefully prevented a lot of the issues I had. So I think that that's some feedback I would give, is that Square Enix needs to make sure that if they are taking things and shipping them around the world, you've got to bear in mind that whatever company they're shipping with, not everyone is as nice with the things they ship as they would like to envision, and that's why we keep screws separately. If you order a PC online, anything that could potentially pop out and scratch something, they usually put those in a bag, right? Especially screws. Some of the cards then, so this is what we're talking about. So you'll see there's level increments on here with various different benefits to stats. So like I said before, it was kind of difficult to keep track of what stats you would gain when you leveled in the original version, the first release of the tabletop RPG last year. It was a little bit confusing, but now we've got these play cards essentially, which give us different level increments and sort of all of the stat allocations and what you basically do when you level up. It doesn't seem to include every single individual level. It's every 5 or so levels. that seem to be implemented here for all of the usual jobs. And of course, we've got those are just the DPS ones. We've got all the support ones in a separate pile, as well as some new cards that are also in this like deck, as you would call it. So let's show you those. So there's your support cards for all of the individual levels, starting with Paladin, Warrior, Dark Knight. Obviously, we've got our healers as well, White Mage being the one that I'd probably end up playing in the playthrough. And then we've got Scholar and Astro as well, all the way up to level 60, I believe, which is pretty cool. I'm looking forward to any future expansions they do for the card game. Then we have these, which are the status, ailments, and buffs cards. So it tells you very plainly and clearly what everything does. Look, there's X ready, for example, critical up X. These are enhancements, and it tells you that Revivify. So these are really handy to have. It's kind of like there's lots of other tabletop games that I've played where you have these like flashcards to remind you what things do, and these are incredibly useful. Instead of looking through, you know, a book, trying to look through the glossary or the index going, what exactly does Comatose do? Well, Comatose does that, and you can just look at a card. So it's a nice little addition. I do think that's a nice reason to get the deluxe edition, but I don't think it's necessarily something that, you know, would immediately be a reason to purchase it. But yeah, it's nice to have, but you can, of course, just look in the book for all of this information. And of course, there's your enfeeblements, heavy, paralysis, etc. Really cool. I like them. They're nice. Again, it would have been nice if things were packaged a little bit better. I don't think this foam really did a lot of work. Then let's go to the next layer underneath this then. It keeps on going. Now we have a dice tray, a dice bag, and some die, essentially. So the first thing is that this dice bag is pretty cool. It's like a nice felt bag. It's a bag. What can I say? And you can put your die in there. It's got a nice logo on the front. And as you can see, the D20 was, again, not fastened down in any way, shape or form. So that was loose. If there was any other thing to be scratched in this, you could have a D20 flying around and smash into it. I'm just saying that their packaging is a lot to be desired. They are nice heavy die, though. I really do like them. There's the D10 and the D20 in the background. Yeah, they're really nice, actually. I'm a big, you know, dice slut at the end of the day. I do like collecting die for whatever reason. I need to play more D&D, honestly. But this hopefully will be the gateway into us trying a few more campaigns, because the last time we tried the tabletop RPG, it was kind of a bit confusing to figure out how leveling worked, and there was a few other issues, so hopefully the standard rulebook answers a lot of that. We'll have to get back to you on that. The die tray then, you know, your rolling tray, it's just attached like some others. It's a leverette kind of thing with little poppers, and you pop those together. Although they are quite fiddly and annoying, they do unpop quite a bit. And voila, you have yourself a nice leverette die tray to roll your dice into, which is cool. It didn't have one in the original version, in the original deluxe or whatever. Nice to have. And these nice big chunky die. I have my own rolling and die trays personally, but this is a nice one. It's got the embossed logo on there, I suppose. Nice little extra. And then we go to the final layer, or well, second to final layer, I guess. We have these, which are brand new. These are markers. I actually really like the idea of having these. They're very similar to the markers we get in the game and serve exactly the same purpose, so you can mark things up. Let's say your group is attempting to defeat a multitude of enemies. They want to mark them up, and instead of saying, oh yeah, the far left Quirl, I would want to attack that, you could be like, marker 1, and then the DM knows exactly what you're doing. These then are the sheets. They're obviously shiny because you're supposed to use that pen with the obviously the rubber on the other side, so you can rub out any issues, and you can basically tally up different points and things and any ailments you get, as well as with the cards that you can place in the card tray and then put the tokens on. It's basically a game. It's a lot better than the original version of the tabletop RPG, and I like the added bonus of being able to keep track of things. Again, more delivery issues. As we go to the last layer, you will notice that the way that they've put in some of these sheets is just ridiculous. Why they couldn't have put some kind of card holder at the bottom. We've got a nice rule summary sheet under there we'll look at in a minute that's nicely creased. So, you know, you pay a certain amount of money, and then basically your delivery company just wrecks it, which isn't Square Enix's fault, but Square Enix's, you know, shipping fault is the packaging. I would like to see things fastened down, things to be in like a clear folder or something, because these things are fragile, and if you're spending money on them for a deluxe edition, you don't want your rule summary sheet to be creased to all heavens, do you? It doesn't make any sense. These are supposed to be nice collectible things that you use. You know, it's up to me if I want to crease this rule summary sheet over time, not immediately have it out the box creased. Anyway, slight rant over, but I do think that a packaging game needs to step up. And yeah, because of the people that are delivering things, yeah, you need to have things more secure than this instead of just sheets of paper loosely at the bottom of a box. It's kind of annoying, and you know, having no kind of fastener, a little bit of sticky tape, a bit of sellotape sticking down the die, for example, or any of the tokens, that would be nice. That would go a long way. How much does sticky sellotape cost? Probably not that much. Again, a slight rant about the packaging. There's some cool sheets at the bottom, obviously some play arenas for the various different parts of the new scenarios, as well as some of you know, revisiting scenarios. You might recognize some of these arenas. They've got these nice printables, and of course you know, you'd want to print your own probably for your custom scenarios. And they've got this big boss arena as well, which looks awesome. I do like that, actually. There's some kind of cool bits, but overall my review of this is gonna be, I like it. Or at least my initial thoughts. I can't review it because I've not gone through the standardized rule book yet and had a play session, because we'll have to it remains to be seen whether or not they've answered any of the queries I had about the leveling and how smooth the gameplay feels. But the individual components for the deluxe edition are quite nice. I just think that the packaging is absolutely atrocious, and they need to work on the way that things are stored. Like the cards don't even fit in the bloody card holdery bit, look, when you've undone them from the cellophane. Just a little bit more depth, a little bit more, you know, of a premium sort of foam would have gone a long way. Like the coins are okay. The coins actually managed to be sort of folded in quite nicely, but the die not so much, and apparently not the card tray either. It's alright. I quite like it. I'm looking forward to playing some more tabletop RPG. If you've never played the Final Fantasy XIV tabletop RPG, it is a lot of fun. It sort of blurs the lines of traditional D&D with some other board game mechanics and makes it somewhat uniquely Final Fantasy XIV, but more often than not you do end up going down the DM's sort of imagination is what drives the play session rather than what's printed on a piece of paper, so you still have to have that kind of creativity to make sessions more enjoyable. Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed that quick unboxing. It's as quick as I could say. Like I say, packaging, not good. If you're purchasing this and you've got yours, let me know if yours came in one piece, or if you too had to go and find screws out of the box for 30 minutes and then find a screwdriver and then deal with cellophane. Yeah, what a chaotic time this was. But all in all, the actual contents, you know, if they're in one piece, pretty cool. I'm looking forward to playing some more. Let me know what you think. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.